Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with hosts Amy Babinchek, James Kernan, and Carl Polachek. Produced by Kernan Consulting and for the international MSP community. We are dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional. Hey there, this is James Kernan with Kernan Consulting, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the Mastermind peer groups. So with the Mastermind peer groups, you get a powerful combination of customized coaching, accountability, and weekly synergy sessions with like-minded professionals from all around North America. These peer groups are really focused on sales, marketing, and growth. It's all about results. So I am your personal group facilitator, and you'll experience weekly accountability meetings, monthly trainings, and then quarterly face-to-face meetings where we all get together on a quarterly basis in fun cities all around America. So be prepared to take your business to new heights and see if you've got what it takes to be one of the Mastermind peer group members. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. At least it's morning when James and I record this on Mondays. And how you doing, James?
Doing good, doing good. Did you notice anything different about me today?
I know I'm a little jealous of your tan. Like my summer tan is completely gone now. I'm just, matching the snowy weather that we have. But you're looking tan. You obviously escaped.
Deep dark tan. Yeah, I escaped the frozen tundra of the Midwest. Perfect timing. So I
You
was out.
did time that perfectly. Like the whole country went into a deep freeze and James was in Hawaii. Right.
Yeah, the morning it hit. Yeah, the morning it hit. So pretty
Perfect.
lucky, pretty lucky. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, that conference went well. There was an MSSP sales and marketing workshop I elected to go speak at. I did realize the perfection of my timing, but it was nice just to get out of the cold. But met a lot of great vendors, great content, really good people, and it was really a fantastic experience. So it was on the North Shore at Turtle Bay Resort, which is a five-star facility up there on the private side of Oahu, which Honolulu's on the southern side. It's where the airport is, but was up there for over a week and kind of mixed a little business with pleasure, but just met some amazing people. It was a lot of fun.
Good. It's nice to be able to get away. It's nice that it was out of the city too.
Yeah.
Honolulu's a huge city, as I understand. I haven't been there, but that's
Yep.
the big city of Hawaii.
Big city of Hawaii. A lot of things there, a lot of history. There's Pearl Harbor. We saw some exhibits there. The Dole factory, Dole pineapple. That was interesting. Squeezed in a luau and then just a lot of different cultures from all the surrounding islands there. So a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, give some props, James. Who was this conference for?
It was sponsored by Fornix Marketing. And then it was really cybersecurity focused. So there were some cool vendors there, folks like Ascent Portal. Val King was there. I know Val real well. They had Cypher, which is an up and coming, more of a pen test Cypher with SXIPHER. So Christoph Riglet, that company is really taking off. It's a great pen test tool. So those guys were there presenting. There were some other cybersecurity focused vendors, but those were the two that really stood out to me. But good time, and it was really focused for the MSSP, the security-minded managed service provider.
Nice.
And it was, in our favorite, it was kind of a small, intimate. It was less than 50 people. So you really got a chance to talk to people and participate and share. And as you and I have talked about, that's our kind of conference.
Yep. James and I love the small conference, and because of the quality always seems like it's higher at the smaller events. Yeah. Less glitz, more networking and quality time between the vendors and the attendees, and really getting a chance to get to know everybody and build those really valuable, lasting relationships.
So there was an interesting question of the week. Did you want to jump onto that topic? That was an interesting one, I thought.
Yeah. So the question of the week is, what's the best business structure for an MSP starting up today?
Yeah.
And this is a great question because it changes over time. When I started my MSP, um, I thought that LLC was the way to go. And then after that, I went and visited with my CPA, and he said, "No, no, 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 no. You need to be an S corp." And so we had
Yeah.
to quickly close that LLC and reform as an S corp. And now there are so many options of you know, S corps operating as LLCs, and the world is sort of opened up the options of how you can manage it. But
Yeah.
my big advice, regardless of what our articles might be telling us, is be sure to meet with your CPA before you sign that bottom line, and don't make the mistake that I did. It wasn't too painful, but still it was like, oh, I goofed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point because you can change it. Once you set up your entity, you can upgrade, downgrade, whatever you want. And you brought up a really, really good point. First and foremost, always talk to your CPA because the rules change. And it really depends on what you want your business to do. My old rule of thumb was because I have experience with all the entities. If you're have like an umbrella company where you're going to have multiple companies underneath it, to me, a C corp makes more sense.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of complexities there, and you also have potential double taxation challenges. So you want to bonus money out of the C corp instead of holding lots of cash in the business to avoid the double taxation. The general rule of thumb, like Amy said, the S corp I think is always the best option for MSPs today. And then the LLCs were more of the kind of like a little holding company for a business. Maybe it owns a real estate property and you just want to operate at a nonprofit. It's kind of just it's there and you're not driving lots of revenue through it. It just kind of sitting there. LLCs, they're a little bit less expensive to maintain, but they're easier. There's not as much annual paperwork with those as well.
Mhm.
So, but the big thing I think is the taxation part. And S corps, you get taxed at your personal tax rate, and just makes it a lot easier.
Um,
So,
yeah, and there's a little bit of difference in the legal protections too once you have employees.
yeah,
And if you're an MSP, you're intending to have employees, so be sure that you bring that up as well with your accountant. And actually, your accountant and your lawyer may have different opinions on this.
yeah,
So
true.
so you might want to actually meet with both. um, the lawyer is going to be concerned about your potential liabilities and which form is best for that. With they see it from the courtroom perspective, and the accountant's going to see it from the tax perspective. And
And
then
I think
you, as the owner, get to make the decision of which one's going to be your priority.
right, legal protection, which S corp, C corp are good ones, and then I really like what you said a moment ago. The best one is the S corp. That's what made sense for you, and same thing for myself. So
Yeah, I don't find you hear a lot about, the overhead that it takes, and I don't find it to be particularly onerous. You do have to have an annual meeting of your S Corp shareholders,
yeah,
which can be you and your partner, whoever. Um, and you get to hold that meeting wherever you like. So, take yourself out to a nice dinner and hold your annual meeting.
good. Hey, good.
um, yeah, a little insider tip there. And so it's not a big deal. You just take minutes and you file it away, and and that's really the only little extra tidbit that you have to take care of.
Just a one page form, the meeting minutes to keep track of annually, and that's it. But to me, it's well worth it. from a tax savings standpoint, and then the additional veil of protection that's over you being a corporation. So
Yep.
great question. Great question. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yes, thank you. Keep those questions coming. We love them. I'm sure by now everybody's noticed all in the news is about layoff, 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 layoff. Being on the optimistic side, I'm always like, well, why are these companies laying off people? Like, everywhere I look seems like everybody's doing well. The stock market's going berserko crazy high, and you know, in inflation is down, and everything's looking pretty good. What's with all the layoffs? And as I read down into it, it was like these are really targeted layoffs. We're not kind of seeing that broad layoff of um, you see the really large companies do those broad layoffs periodically anyway. Where they'll be like,
Mhm.
okay, 10,000 gone, and that's a small percentage of what they have, so it's not a big impact to the company, to the individuals it is, but not to the company.
Right.
Um, and so this time it's not like huge numbers. They're very targeted layoffs, and I noticed that a lot of it's in the channel partner program end of the business, which I find really interesting. That is a huge signal that um, companies are going to be changing the way that they approach the channel, um, and definitely feeling like they've got too many people on staff in that area, so they're trimming.
Yeah, I think it's those big companies in the channel that are just being extra conservative. It's interesting, the economic indicators that came out last week here in January have really helped the stock markets. So the markets are strong. The indicators are better than they thought. So that's an optimistic thought. But these big entities, and I don't know, maybe they had a little bit of too much fat around the belt anyway, but they were talking about, Broadcom, who recently purchased VMware, were laying off people, and that makes sense. When you acquire another entity, you,
Mhm.
you want to lay off some people, but the big ones like the Google, Amazon, Splunk, LinkedIn, SecureWorks, Intel, those are all entities that are continuing to lay off people. So it's good news for us in the channel because that means there's more people available from a recruiting standpoint. And Amy, I'm sure you see the same thing inside your peer group community, your customer base, but most every one of my clients are hiring people right now. And it's a lot easier to hire good people today than it was a year ago at this time. So that's good news for us.
It's funny when the economy is really doing well, there aren't as many people looking for jobs, and that make you would think that makes it difficult to hire, but it actually makes it, my experience, makes it easier to hire quality people.
Right.
When the economy is down, there's tons of people in the market looking for jobs, but it's hard to find the diamonds in the pile, right?
Hmm. Right.
So it's interesting, you sometimes you think, wow, we got 200 resumes in, and the next time, oh, we only got 25 resumes in, but it's all about the quality. And now it does seem like a good time to hire really quality people.
Yeah, and that's a great point because there's more and more people that I work with are growing and they're hiring more of like middle level management, more leadership in their business. They're not hiring just a level one tech or a sales assistant. It's higher level people, level
Hmm.
three, level four engineers, or management figureheads. And just like you said, there's more and more quality people available. So I'm encouraged by that for sure. You know what else I've seen inside? We always talk about the worldwide economy, the national economy, and then our own economy. And inside our vendor community, this is something that plays into what we were just talking about earlier about the smaller events. More and more of our channel partners that I work with inside the Kernick Consulting, the mastermind communities, more and more vendors are coming to me saying that they're attracted and they want to do more events with the smaller groups, meaning the events where there's 50 people instead of the events where there's 1,500 people. They're
Yeah.
just not seeing return on investment. And I think more
Hmm.
importantly, the feedback I'm getting is they're not forming the relationships that they want to form at these huge events. So I've had 3 vendors this year come to and have said to me that they have a focus this year in 2024 that they want to do more, align themselves with more peer groups, more of the events that are a little bit smaller and more intimate. So I thought that was something interesting to share as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense. You know, hey, you and I have always noted those are our favorite events anyway.
Yeah.
And from the vendor perspective, they should also be their favorite events because um, when you have when you feel like you have a relationship with a vendor, right? You've gone from being a number in their program to actually, knowing some people over there by name and getting to know some folks. That's a vendor you're going to continue to use for the next decade,
Yeah.
right? That's a long time recurring sale for them. And you also are much more likely to become a cheerleader for that vendor. So I
Yes.
can definitely see where the small events where where their vendors are focused on developing those relationships, that's a much more valuable uh, use of their time than it is to go to a 1,500, 5,000, 10,000 person event where um, you know they themselves are just a number in the in the vendor hall that we don't have time to spend with because it's so vast and we feel like we need to get around and see what's what in the world, right? And
Right.
so as an attendee you don't feel like you have the time to spend with them, and that just can't result in good quality leads, for those vendors.
And those events, the smaller events, one of my favorite things to do, a little best practice, and some of you might laugh at this. I'm an extrovert, right? So I like talking to people, but I'm also a human being and I've got friends. And naturally, I want to sit at the same table for every social function and sit by my friends, right? That's
Hmm.
most comfortable. Like Amy, if you and I were there, I naturally I would want to sit with you and talk with you each break that we had. But I always challenge myself to think a little differently. And I want to, on purpose, just sit at a different table and sit next to different people to force me to have conversations with people that maybe I wouldn't normally. And whether it's the meals or the breaks or the other social activities, and you meet some amazing people that way. Those are some of my favorite part of these events that we're talking about is these the networking opportunities where you get to know other people. So that's a lot of fun.
Yep. You and I are the opposite ends of the spectrum because I'm definitely an introvert. But I do the same. I force myself, and I can't do it for every activity, but I
Hmm.
often do it around meals. I'll go and I'll
Hmm.
sit at an empty table and wait for people to show up to eat with me at this table, right? And because generally all the tables in a room fill up, and and when they do, just reach out and introduce yourself, and just
Exactly.
see what happens to the conversation. Often they come to the table in twos or threes, so um,
Yep.
they're with their group, and you can just introduce yourself and get to know some new people.
So interesting things happening in the channel for sure. So again, it's a great opportunity for recruiting, and you guys should take advantage of that if you're looking for good people here in 2024.
Yep. So I have taken up a new thing in LinkedIn. LinkedIn, which I love LinkedIn for news because I find it to be very balanced and kind of out of the fray of the political, melee that's going on in the world. For some reason, people on Facebook have done a very good job of just keeping it focused, as for its business purpose, which is nice. Um, but what I'm doing is kind of collecting the good news that I see in the world, because um, media loves to publish bad news. It probably gets more clicks, right? And so it tends to overwhelm stuff. When I see something positive, like the new highs in the stock market or whatever, still business focused. But when I see positive things, I'm collecting those articles and then posting them on Friday, and I tag them with the Good News Friday. So if you want to catch up on what's going well in the economy, in the business world, look for my post on Fridays, because I'm putting them together for you. And so far it's been pretty well received too.
All right, so we're here, the year's already taken off in 2024. What have you got, any other travel plans coming up or going to any events here in Q1?
Yeah, I'm going to be at Dave Seibert's SMB Techfest in February. It's February 8th and 9th. I'm giving
Okay.
two sessions out there. One is on Microsoft Defender XDR, and it will not be a technical session, but I am going to sort of go over what the major components of it are, so that if you're not familiar with Microsoft's detection and response solution, you'll at least get the overview of what it includes. And then I'm going to talk about how we can position that in our MSPs. And then the second session I'm going to give is a technical session. It's a breakout on conditional access.
Hmm.
And so we're going to talk about the different types of conditional access, and I'll introduce you to the conditional access templates that are available, so you can get it set up pretty quickly and easily.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, those are always great events. I think I'm going to be speaking at the Q2 SMB, the Tech Fest. So the Tech Fest event, I think that the Q2 event's in May, and I'll be talking about EOS again as your business blueprint for success, and then also mergers and acquisitions is another topic that seems to be coming up a lot inside my circles. So hopefully I'll see you in Q2. Any plans of going back to Tech Fest in Q2, Q3, Q4?
I think I'm going to do Q4. So
Okay.
1 and 4. Hey, James, let me ask you a question about EOS. Um, I have heard people express the opinion that EOS is difficult to do for a small business. Well, what size of a business do you think you need to be before you can really do EOS effectively?
I would say anywhere from 5 employees or more,
Okay.
so a true small business,
Hmm.
it's I think that's big enough to implement this blueprint, and get the most out of people. And then it goes all the way up. I mean, the largest EOS implementation I did was for a $500 million tech company. So, it's really for businesses of all sizes. If you're an owner operator and, just one person or two people, I think some of the fundamental exercises like creating your dashboard, tracking your goals on a weekly basis, a couple of those things I think are good, but I maybe wouldn't implement it till you have at least 5 people.
Yeah, I think the book is good for everyone to read,
Yeah.
because of those organizational concepts. And a lot of tech people, it doesn't come naturally to them how to do those things. So definitely everyone should read the book, um, which is called Traction, actually.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, decide whether implementing it's actually, if it's the right time in your business to implement the full system, or just address the concepts in a way that fits the business of where you're at today.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hearing more and more at different events about EOS. So I'll be speaking about EOS at the Q2 Tech Fest, and then M&A and EOS as well. So hopefully I'll see you at the Q4 event as well.
All
Later.
right.
And then I've got a mastermind event coming up in Austin, Texas. We're actually holding it Remember how we talked about, working closer with strategic partners and making events more of an experience?
Hmm.
And so we're holding our Q1 event in Austin, Texas at the Ninja One headquarters in downtown Austin.
That's
So
fantastic. That's so smart from Ninja's point of view,
yeah,
and a great thing for your attendees too.
yeah. Behind the scenes tour, we get to meet with their executives, their help desk, their sales teams. We've got some really cool things lined up, and then we get an opportunity to experience downtown Austin, Texas, which is some of the best barbecue in the world, by the way. So looking forward to that. So that'll be a good time. But we'll drop links to those events up in the show notes up on the site. So you guys are all invited to attend those events. Those are great events. If you've never attended, we'd love to see you there.
Well, James, I think we've used up our time for today,
Yeah.
and it was really great to chat with you. I'm a little jealous that you went to Hawaii, but I'm glad you're back.
Yep. Back safe and sound, and good times. Good times. All right. Thanks, Amy. We'll see you next week then.